What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning last night's top rank card in Las Vegas. Headline between Mikaela and Sandy Ryan 2. We're going to go over the 4 fights that we featured last week and talk a little bit about those outcomes. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. My YouTube analytics are telling me 80% of you guys who watch my content haven't hit subscribe yet, so come on guys, help me out with that. Also, like this video and be sure to hit the bell notification button so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right guys, we had another fun weekend of boxing. We had the top ranked card in Las Vegas and the card in Cancun, headlined by William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer. But this video, we're gonna focus on the 4 fights that we covered all week, starting off with Tiger Johnson versus Kendo Castaneda. We're then gonna go to Bruce "Shushu" Carrington in his fight with Enrique Vivas, Brian Norman Jr.'s title fight with Derek Cuevas, and then finishing with the main event between the ladies, the rematch, the title at 147 between the champion Mikaela and the challenger, the Brit, Sandy Ryan. Guys, once again, we had a great weekend of our bets. Hopefully you're tuning into the channel. I'm giving you my predictions. I'm showing you how to make the most of your money, and we are hitting. Once again, we went 4-0 on this card with our bets. This was Tiger Johnson, the Cleveland, Ohio's product, first fight at 147. We heard from his coach that 140 was killing him, and he was predicting that he was going to look great at 47, and sure enough, Tiger is a different monster in that weight class. It's going to be exciting to watch him mature and develop and to see what's next. Here's what my prediction was going into it. My prediction for this fight, I expect Tiger Johnson to be tested. This is only an 8-round fight, so these rounds are going to fly by. I think Tiger Johnson's going to rely on his speed, reflexes, and skill set to steal some rounds, and I think Castaneda is going to be there to get hit. I expect Tiger to use the ring, use his jab, put Castaneda in positions to keep getting touched, and use his overly aggressive nature against him. I'm predicting Tiger Johnson to win this fight. Now, I predicted the victory for Johnson. I just didn't know how great he was gonna look, and he looked sharp, he looked fast, his countering was beautiful, and more importantly, he fills out that weight class. He was thicker in his shoulders, thicker in his legs, his stability and balance in his feet, and he was sitting on his shots. Kendo Castaneda came into the fight talking a big game. He said the last time he fought an Ohio kid, which was Sonny Fredrickson, he knocked him out, which was the case, but that was not going to happen to Tiger Johnson. This is how that fight ended. What's up, fight fans? Tiger Johnson at 147 is a different animal. He looked bigger, he was sharp, his body work was brutal, and he stops Kendo Tremendo with an arsenal of body rips. Here's that ending.
Hands down and being winded from those shots downstairs. That's what I'm talking about. Make a decision tonight about how much.
So the future's bright for the Ohio fighter. We'll see with time how far he could take his stock. At 147, there's a lot of great matchups for Tiger, so we'll just stay tuned and stay tuned to the channel. Whenever he has another fight, I'll be covering it here. Moving forward, let's talk about "Shushu" Carrington and Enrique Vivas. Vivas was a guy coming into this fight, never been stopped before. A lot of people were going to say it was going to challenge "Shushu." Carrington was coming off the fight with deadly Dana Colwell, in which it went to the decision, and some of the naysayers were saying that the Brownsville product, he wasn't knocking people out. Well, after this fight, what are they going to say now? Going into last week, here is my prediction. Regarding my prediction, I think it's going to be business as usual. I think that Carrington's speed, his movement, and his ability to counter is going to be too much for Vivas. I like him to win this fight. Like I said, I can only take the money line at $1.09. I predicted Carrington to win. I just didn't know how dominant he would be, and sure enough, he came out guns a-blazing. It started off a bit slow. Now, I'm going to disagree with the commentary team. If you guys watched the fight, Tim Bradley was talking about how Carrington might not have warmed up well enough in the locker room because he wasn't sweating, and he was talking about maybe he's taking his opponent not too serious. But if you watch Carrington, this is what he does in the first round. He doesn't really come out sprinting, and he looked good to me in the first round. He was patient, he was calculated, and you could see what he was trying to do. He was trying to counter and catch his opponent being overly aggressive on the front foot, and that's exactly what happened. This is how that fight came to an end. Bruce "Shushu" Carrington stops Enrique Vivas in the 3rd round. Look, guys, if you're watching this fight like myself, I thought the ref should have stopped it in the 2nd. He lets it continue. The 3rd round starts pretty much the same. You could see it was going to get worse and worse, and the ref just calls it off and saves Vivas. "Shushu" Carrington, world title next.
Not what you want to do against a sharpshooter like "Shushu" Carrington. Stop it, right hand, a right uppercut. right into something. And there it is. That's a good stop.
So a third round brutal knockout. I felt like the fight should have been stopped in the second by the referee. They let it continue, went to the corner, and by the third round, the ref at least was looking in Vivas's eyes and he could tell he wanted no more, stepped in, and Carrington wins by third round finish. 126 is an exciting division. Shushu deserves a title shot. There's so many exciting potential matchups for him in that division. And stay tuned for more fight news because we'll be covering him more and more on the channel as well. Now we go to the co-main event between 147-pound champion Brian Norman Jr., the 24-year-old coming off a hand surgery. This is his first title defense against the Puerto Rican knockout artist Derek Cuevas. Both gentlemen come from boxing families. Both fathers are fighters, and this one was sure to be exciting. Going into fight week, here was my prediction. What we saw in his last fight against Santillan, and this is just a theory of mine, I feel that some of the issues and some of the struggles that Norman Jr. had with Santillan maybe told his camp that he might not be ready yet for that jump up against Jaron Ennis. So I'm thinking that this is actually a great fight for him and his development to once again use Cuevas as a measuring stick to see where he's at in that maturation. I fully expect him to be ready. I hope his hand's 100%. He's gonna have to use it against the Puerto Rican slugger. I am gonna take Brian Norman Jr. to win this fight. Is he gonna win by knockout? Is he gonna win by decision? I'm gonna just take the money line. Another example of what have you done for me lately? I can't say that I knew Norman was gonna come out and look as sharp and as strong as he did. Whenever you're coming off a hand surgery and you have a fighter saying that he's fought his entire career with one bad hand, you never know how he's gonna react. You never know how that hand's gonna react. And Norman Jr. came out powerful, strong, fast. His speed was impressive to me. He didn't look sluggish at all. His defense looked like he fixed a few things, and he wasn't wasting his shots either. It wasn't like he was getting on that front foot and throwing flurries without any intention. Everything he threw last night to Cuevas was intentively thrown to do damage, and this is how the end came. Brian Norman Jr. is a problem, surgically repaired hand. His left hook was landing all night, knocks Derek Cuevas out in the third round. He didn't want anymore. He got hurt in the first, second, and third. Brian Norman Jr. and still. Norman Jr. gets a third round knockout of Derek Cuevas, becomes the first guy to drop him and becomes the first guy to stop him. It seemed like every time Norman touched Cuevas' face, his legs got shaky. You saw that happen at the end of the first, a couple times in the second, and by the third round, you saw the end was near. Brian Norman Jr., when he smells blood in the water, he's like a shark. He goes for the kill. This 24-year-old world champion is exciting. There's great fights to make for him. To refresh everyone about that division, you have two champions fighting soon enough between Stan Jonas and Boots Ennis. The other champion is Mario Barrios, and now obviously we know Brian Norman Jr. keeps his belt. Hopefully big title fights ahead for Brian Norman Jr., and the 24-year-old is an exciting addition into that division. Finally, we wrap up with the headlining event, the rematch between Sandy Ryan and Mikaela Mayer. We know the first fight took place last year in which Mayer took Ryan's belt. We know how intense the buildup was. Sandy Ryan got paint thrown on her, leaving the hotel, accused Mikaela Mayer's camp of it. And going into this fight, it was a 50-50. Vegas had it as a coin flip. Here was my prediction. A trilogy in boxing is something that fans love to hope for and wish for. I just feel that the adjustments that Sandy Ryan is going to have to make versus the game plan of Mikaela Mayer, also the problem that Mayer will put on Ryan in terms of her style, her having to come over from the UK to the States, having to beat the champion and take the belt. I just feel that Mikaela's gonna be too much. I think that she's gonna this time turn up the volume a bit more and outwork her from the early onset. I don't expect her to give many rounds away, and I'm putting my money on Mikaela Mayer to win this fight. Once again, it's exactly, in my opinion, how it played out in terms of what I thought was gonna happen, and sure enough, it came to fruition. So hopefully you guys are listening, because we know a little bit about boxing. Sandy Ryan, her game plan, she was way more patient, and she let the early rounds slip away. Mikaela Mayer, she did exactly what I thought she was gonna do. She turned the pressure up from the very first round. She put the pace on her, was up huge going into the mid-late rounds. Sandy Ryan came on late, but it just wasn't enough. She didn't have enough firepower to withstand Mikaela Mayer and hurt her, and ultimately Mayer wins a unanimous decision to keep her belt at 147 pounds. In another great fight, Mikaela outpoints and outworks Sandy Ryan. Sandy had a slow start, but came on mid to late rounds. It got fun towards the end, and still.
She's the toughest white girl I've ever met in my life. I'm not gonna lie. She says, you guys might think I'm Barbie, but I'm... And although I think this one should be more definitive than the first, you've got to take her hat off.
Guys, what did you make of the fights? Did you tune in? What was your favorite fight? In the comment section below, between all the winners, Meyer, Norman Jr., Tiger Johnson, and Bruce Carrington, who was your favorite performance? And in the comment section below, let me know what your favorite performance was. Guys, we have a slew of fights coming up over the next few months, so be sure to stay tuned to the channel. I'm going to be covering the fights happening this weekend. There's 2 separate cards. Also, if you haven't seen my breakdown of the fight that happened last night between William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer, the prediction video, be sure to stay tuned to the channel because that's coming up right now.